Have you ever taken a sip of whiskey and thought to yourself as some sort of alchemy? That's how I felt the first time I tasted Professor Plum's whiskey by Okanagan Spirits, which is what I have here right now. And trust me, there's more to this bottle than just what's inside. I've said that before, and I'll say it again. The North Okanagan is known for its lush orchards, rolling hills, and sun-drenched vineyards. But whiskey isn't something most people think of. Yet Okanagan Spirits has been distilling there, well, long before it was even legal actually. Once upon a time, the family were apparently bootleggers, and eventually part of the movement urging the government to change the laws. The family dates back over 5 generations, and over time, well, eventually, the government listened. But, ironically, Canada, when they created the Craft Distillers Agreement in 2013, the Okanagan crew, or any craft distiller I believe, was not at the table. The result? Today they're limited by outdated caps that keep them from scaling despite any amount of quality or legacy. Still, Okanagan Spirits has stayed true to their mission, which is to restore authenticity from grain to glass with an unapologetically local flavor. Before I get on a roll here, hit that subscribe button because I've got a few more videos coming up, including the Okanagan Spirits bourbon style whiskey, which you may have seen making the news recently. So if you definitely want to catch that one, I'll tell you even more about who they are and where they come from. But back to my point, you might wonder why go through all this effort to make whiskey in a market that's squeezed by big players and burdened by policy. Well, that's where their vision comes in. I got to sit down with Tyler Dick, one of the owners of the distillery and president of the Craft Distillers Alliance, and we talked about politics, economics, and of course, the future of craft whiskey in Canada. Again, I'll talk more about this in their other video when I review their bourbon style whiskey, but for now, the big takeaway, they're not just making whiskey, they're standing up for what they believe in. Now, the first thing that jumps out at me with Professor Plum's is the name. It's playful, it's nostalgic, it sounds like something out of the game of Clue. And the series is called Final Proof, which is a nod to Tyler's dad, who is a mathematician. As he put it, you only solve something once. That's the idea here. Each release is one and done. No repeats, no do-overs, just a final proof. Full concept and flavor. But let's get to the good stuff. I've got here Professor Plum's whiskey. This one started life as a honey-hopped blonde ale, brewed in-house as part of their very fun and annual brewing competition. The beer that won, of course, was a honey-hopped blonde ale. They then double distilled it, laid it down to age for 5 years in new American oak, which, if I recall, has a light number 2 toast. But then the whiskey pulled a vanishing act. Literally, they couldn't find the barrels. Tyler's dad said it didn't exist, and remember, he's a mathematician. They don't make mistakes, of course. Yet somehow, 3.5 years later, while prepping to bottle their Plum brandy, boom, there it was, hidden somewhere in the rickhouse. So you would think, after finding it, they just finally bottle it, right? Not at all. They decided to finish it in those Okanagan Plum brandy casks for another full year. And on top of it, they then ran it through their own smoky twist on the Lincoln County process. The Lincoln County process, for those who don't know, is a traditional Tennessee whiskey technique where the spirit is filtered through maple charcoal, which is supposed to add a subtle smoky smoothness to it. Jack Daniels is famous for it. I'll expand again on this after I give it a quick taste, and I'll tell you more about what they do. Enough talking, let's get on with this. We're looking at 42.7% here, so let's give it a pour. The color is this wonderful amber with like a touch of rosé on the edges. Sort of reminds me of like a late summer evening sunset. Very, very cool. Maybe it's just the idea of the Okanagan. The nose is this beautiful, sweet, sort of candied orange peel right up front. Then there's this honeyed malt that shows up. Maybe just a gentle smoke there. Definitely golden fruit like apricot. And something interesting like maybe beeswax? Oh yeah. It's sweet but layered, reminds me of summertime. You get that ale base, grainy and golden, with a really strong floral balance from the hops. Almost like fresh apple picked from the tree. but also a bit of that green spiciness. The plum brandy definitely shows up. Stewed stone fruits, peaches, deep red plums, a little bit of spice from that greenness, and a tiny bit of caramel. It finishes sort of a medium long. It finishes really nice here. Medium long, toasted oak, vanilla pipe tobacco, a little oily, which I really like. And there's a sort of ghost of that honey blonde ale. Really neat. As Tyler put it, it's like sitting at your favorite pub waiting for your next pint of golden ale. And then you remember you're drinking whiskey. Really interesting, fun finish on this one. And I think I would love to pair this with something like a warm peach cobbler and a rich vanilla ice cream. Or truthfully, I would just drink this as it is. Maybe do something a bit different. Drink it in like a chilled glass. It definitely reminds me of summertime. It's this beautiful, fun whiskey that has Okanagan dust on its boots, and I can't wait to share it with friends. How did they pull it off? Well, they've got this Pioneer County process, which is their own spin on the Lincoln County process I mentioned earlier. They essentially cut up old barrels, toast and torch the staves, and stack them into a filtration column. The whiskey then runs back through the wood, picking up caramelized smoke and extra depth. But they call it the Pioneer County process because where they are used to be known as Pioneer County. I also learned a fun little bit. Their cuts are tight, meaning they only keep the cleanest heart of the distillate. And the rest, well, believe it or not, they run their vehicles on whiskey tails. No joke, fuel made from leftover whiskey. So when you are sipping this whiskey, as Tyler puts it, you're not just enjoying craft whiskey, you're quite possibly saving the planet one bottle at a time. Okay, but you probably want to know, is this worth the price? This bottle sits around $85 here in Canada where I am. It's not entry level, but it's not out of reach either. For an 8.5-year-old small batch whiskey that only comes out once, finished in a plum brandy cask for another year with a story like this, I think if you love beer barrel finishes and want something off the beaten track, it is 100% worth your curiosity. And it's absolutely, in my opinion, delicious. Okanagan Spirits isn't just making whiskey. They're reclaiming their own family legacy. And yes, they're doing it their way with honey ales, plum brandy casks, and old trucks running on booze. If you've had this one, or any expression from their Final Proof series, let me know what you think. This is the first one I've tried. And if not, maybe add them to your list. Because sometimes the final proof isn't just about what's in the glass. It's about what it took to get there. Thanks for watching. See you soon.